So now we are going to look at our lab number 3. Lab number 3 is all about your ZSP and vaulted account access to your cloud resources. So here we will be using one of the CyberArk module. Some people call it a dynamic privilege access. And now we may name it as a modern session management. So it supports both your vaulted account access and your ephemeral access. So here for the lab purposes, so we will be looking at 3 different scenarios. The first one, we are looking at the vaulted account scenarios to your Postgres database, and we will be using your pgadmin utility. So I believe you guys have downloaded this utility. The next one is going to be ephemeral access to the Postgres RDS database. The last one is access to your AWS Linux instance. Again, if you want to look at the official documentation, you can go to the docs.cyberark.com, go to the DPA, and then you will be able to get see the documentation. For this particular video, we are going to focus upon just a vaulted account access so that we can keep this video a little bit shorter. Otherwise, it's going to be a long video. So here, so what we are going to do, the first step is we are going to go to the privilege cloud. On the privilege cloud, we are going to vault your RDS database account, your master account. So then what we are going to do again for the Postgres database, you can download the CPM plugin from our marketplace. So, but we will not be setting up the CPM for this particular lab. So here, what we are going to do, so I'm going to go to my privilege cloud service, and then we are going to duplicate our MySQL database, and I'm going to just name it as a Postgres database. So I'm going to click on the platform management. I'm going to go to the database. Going to click on MySQL, duplicate. I'm going to say Raj, Postgres server. So once the platform has been created, we are just gonna activate this platform. So it's all done. So then we are going to create a new safe. I'm gonna go to my policies, safes. So we're gonna name this safe as Raj Postgres. So we are not gonna attach any of the CPM. And then I'm gonna click on skip and create safe. So safe has been created. So then as the next step, we are going to onboard our Postgres RDS database. So what we are going to do, I'm going to go to my RDS service. So there is a database we created. So let me check on, okay. So currently we are using a security audit. So I believe we may not be able to see the database. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to log in as my other user. So once I log in using my administrator user, so currently we are on the management account. In the management account, we spin up the database. So what we have to do, we have to start this database. It takes around like 5-10 minutes. At the same time, what we are going to do, I'm going to go to my EC2 instances, and then we are going to start our EC2 instances as well. So I'm going to select all my EC2 instances, and then we're going to start. So it takes around 5 minutes for database to get started. So then we are going to come back and continue with our lab. So it took around 5 minutes for the database to get started. So in case you guys forgot your credentials, so this is your master username. And if you still don't remember your password, That's perfectly fine. What you can do, you can click on a modify button, and then you can create a new password. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. So the rest of the settings should be the same. So I'm gonna say apply immediately. So we're gonna modify it. So it's all done. So as the next step, what we are going to do, we are going to create a new account, and we are going to onboard our database credentials. So I'm gonna say database Raj. So here Raj Postgres. My username is it's Postgres. Addresses. So you have to go to the RDS database. So this is what your endpoint is, or your FTDN is. So I'm gonna go and paste here. So you're gonna mention your password. Again, for the password or the account onboarding, you can automate this entire thing as well. So we just doing it in a lab, yeah. So here I'm gonna say Raj Postgres DB. Then what else we have to mention? We can mention the port number as well, which is your 5432. We can go here and we can check as well. Yeah. So everything looks okay. I'm gonna click on add. So account onboarding has been done successfully. So now as a next step, we are going to set up a connector installation. So what we are going to do, we are gonna go to the CyberArk DPS service. And then we are going to set up a connector pool and connector. So as the next step, so we are going to set up a DPA connector. So what we are going to do, we are gonna click on the set up the connections, and we are going to set up the connector pool. So I'm gonna click on add a pool for the database access for your vaulted account, for your ZSP using FTDN. So you have to leverage upon the all platform connector pool only. So we're gonna click on next. So here, I'm gonna name it as a Raj database access. So here you have to provide your FTDN as well. So what I'm gonna do, I am going to paste my entire endpoint here. So ideally, you can use a wildcard because the multiple people will be using the same lab environment. If you don't provide the complete FQDN, so there might be some chances that your connector pool may not be able to reach to your target server. So this is why we are putting this entire FQDN. I'm gonna click on create button. So now we go back to the lab. So this one is done. As the next step, you have to set up a connector in the connector pool. So it's all done. So we are going to add a connector. I'm going to choose on-prem as my connector. I'm going to use this Raj DB access. I'm going to click on next. So we will be using Linux. I'm going to click on next button. So this is what my script is. It's valid only for 15 minutes. So what we are going to do, we are gonna go to our DB connector. I'm gonna click on connect. So this is what my SSH command is to connect to this particular EC2 instance. So what I'm gonna do, I will be using my Mac terminal, and then we are going to run it. So here, I'm just gonna say yes. So here, so it complained about the permission, that permissions are too open. So what we are going to do, we are gonna change the permissions, and then we are going to run this command again. So now you can see we are on the EC2 instance. So what we are going to do, we are going to go to the DPA, going to copy this script, going to run it. So here it is going to download some of the packages, and then it will be installed in the DPA connector. So now it is trying to register the DPA connector. So it takes 5-10 seconds. So these are the steps what we performed so far. And then, so once it is done, we should be seeing this specific message. So you can see the installation has gone through successfully. And on the DPA side, we can close it. So here you can see the connector has been registered successfully, and it is up and running. So the next step is we have to upload our SSL certificate. So for the certificate, so what you can do, you can click on this URL given in the lab guide. So here, so we are going to download the certificate. Currently, I'm using a Ohio region. So then I'll be downloading the certificate for Ohio region. So this is what my certificate is. I'm just gonna click and download. The certificate has been downloaded successfully. So even you can go to your RDS database. In the RDS database, you can see your certificate authority and all these things. Yeah. So that can be found as well. So it has been done successfully. So what we have to do, so we have to add our SSL certificate. I'm going to go to the DPA, going to go to the TLS certificate. Then we are going to add our certificate. So here, so I have picked the certificate I just downloaded. I'm going to say Raj Ohio cert. I'm going to simply click on add. It is checking. The issue to expiration date is 2024 in August. And then, so the configuration wise, it's all done successfully. So this is what, from administrator standpoint, administrator has to do. So now we will see how does the end user experience is going to look like. So for this one, so I will be using my PG admin utility, and then so what we are going to do, so we are going to register a new server. So I'm going to say Raj vaulted account access. So here I'm going to click on connection. So we have to provide some of these details. So for this one, as a user, I can go to the connection guidance, click on database, select Postgres, click on vaulted credential. For this one, so which user we are using? Our user is Postgres, and our address is, so this is what our address is gonna look like, yeah. So I'm gonna click here, and target domain is optional, we can skip it. If you click on the configuration, you can see your user is Postgres. So this is the user, what we have onboarded onto the CyberArk Privilege Cloud as well. So I'm gonna click this host name. And then for the username, we are gonna click this. So this is what we have to do from a host name and a username standpoint. So let's go to our lab guide, and then we have to increase the connection timeout, and we have to enable the SSL mode as well. So I'm gonna go to advanced, go to parameters. Here I'm gonna say require. Here I'm gonna increase it to 180 minutes. So let's see what else we have to provide. So, okay, we pasted these. So here, from a password standpoint, so you have to provide the password to authenticate to your identity security platform. It can be your AD credentials, it can be your local credentials, or it can be your Azure AD credentials as well. So depending upon how you look at it. So I'm going to click on save button. So it is going to take a couple of minutes. So behind the scenes, you will notice that you will be getting an email to authenticate. So I'm going to click on continue with authentication. So once authentication is done, so we should be progressing to the next step. So let's wait. So you can see, so after the multi-factor authentication, we progressed, and then you can see the database, we got connected to the database, but and then we can try to run some of the queries. So let's try to run a SQL query. So what's going to happen whenever you open any SQL query? So it will keep on asking you for the multi-factor authentication again and again. So I'm just waiting to receive in another email. So this is what I got. So what I do, I'll click on a continue with authentication. So then, so it go through. So what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna say select current user. So here, the current user, we are accessing the database as your Postgres user. So this is how the user experience is gonna look like. Again, if you open another query, so it will keep on asking you for the authentication again and again. So see, it is still circling. So I will be receiving another email to go through the multi-factor authentication again and again. So I have received another email. So what we have to do, so we have to click on the authentication, then the authentication gone through, and then, so in a couple of seconds, you will be able to see user is authenticated and user can run a subsequent query. So it is all good, but if you think about it from a database administrator standpoint, they have to authenticate again and again, which may not make a lot more sense. So that's where, so within the CyberArk, so we have come up with another option for the authentication. We call it a MFA caching. So what we are going to do, so as a first step, I'm gonna disconnect from the server. I'm gonna close these as well. So once we got disconnected, and then we are going to connect it using a different approach. So that approach, we call it a MFA caching. So I'm gonna click on disconnect again. It takes a while to get disconnected. So here, the disconnection hasn't been done. So this is the problem I see, especially with the PG admin, like utilities. So it will take a while. So I'll pause this video and then we'll come back in a couple of minutes. So I tried it a couple of times. Somehow I couldn't disconnect the server. So what I did, I simply exited the application and open it again. So I'm going to click on properties. So what we are going to do, so we are going to leverage upon one of the very good feature within the CyberArk dynamic privilege access is called MFA caching. The whole idea about this MFA caching is you have to go through the multi-factor authentication just one, and then you will be able to get a short-lived token, and using this token, you will be able to connect to your databases. So I'm going to generate a new token or a new password. So it takes a couple of seconds. So I'm going to copy this. We're going to go to the Postgres again. And then I will try to click on a connect server again. It is asking me for the password. For this one, I'm using this short-lived token instead of the password. So I'm going to press OK. And in this particular case, we shouldn't be receiving any additional MFA at all, because we already performed the MFA when we logged in into the CyberArk ISPS platform. So here you see from a user experience, it is much better. And then as a user also, if I want to run an additional query, so I will be able to do that as well. So I don't have to worry about going through the MFA again and again. So here I'm going to run a new query. So you will be able to see, so within a couple of seconds, you will be authenticated and you don't have to worry about providing the additional. You don't have to go through the additional MFA again and again. So here I'm going to click on select current user. Again, you can see we got connected as a Postgres. So this is what we have covered in this lab guide. So here we talk about the MFA authentication. And then, so these are some of the things. If it is not working, then we do provide some sort of details. As a last step, what we have to see, so we executed some of the commands. So let's see whether all these commands got captured by CyberArk or not. For this one, what we are going to do, we are going to go to the CyberArk's audit service. So here, we're going to click on the session monitoring. So here you can see some of the sessions are going on. So these are the vaulted accounts. So if we click on one of the sessions, you can see the target, you can see the session ID, the database type. If I click on commands, so we should be seeing the select current user. Okay, this command is not here. So let's try the other one. So here, so you see some of these commands, they do get executed behind the scenes. So what we have to do in this particular case, we have to wait for like a couple of minutes for all these audit events to appear here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause this video and we'll come back in 2-3 minutes. So it took a couple of seconds. So here you see, this is the command we executed, the select current underscore user. In a way, whatever commands user is going to execute within their database client. So all these commands are going to be captured by CyberArk audit service. So this is what we are showcasing here in the guide. In the guide, we have provided some additional steps in case if your DPA connector is enabled to reach out to the database. So what are the different steps you guys can perform? So that's pretty much what we have to do from this lab 3.1 perspective. So we are done until the lab number 3.1. In my next video, we are going to look at the lab 3.2, which is around the ephemeral access to your Postgres database. So thanks a lot, everyone, for watching.